Coming up shortly, we will have Dr. Maurice Woodard share his speech about walking with Dr. King, what that experience was like. But up next, we are going to hear from Burnett and T-Poe as they blend both music and poetry together. So please put your hands together for that.
Test, test, test. Testing. Hello, everybody.
Hear that guitar okay? All right. Just going to say a couple words of introduction here. Virtually everybody knows about Dr. King's involvement with the civil rights movement, his commitment to nonviolence. His name is synonymous with civil rights. But what many people don't know is that his commitment to peace and nonviolence went much deeper than the struggle for human rights in America. It extended to the Vietnam War as well. On April 4th, 1967, in New York City, Dr. King delivered one of his greatest speeches that was called "A Time to Break the Silence," in which he detailed his opposition to the Vietnam War. This was not easy or politically convenient thing for him to do. The country was deeply divided about that war, and giving the speech cost him more politically than it benefited him. I highly recommend finding and reading or listening to this speech. It's called "A Time to Break the Silence." What Dr. King was concerned about was the cost of war, not just in terms of the human lives lost or devastated, although he was certainly concerned about that, not just in the terms of valuable resources that could be better used elsewhere, but he was also concerned about the spiritual cost of war to the nation. He said in this speech, "If America's soul becomes totally poisoned, part of the autopsy must read Vietnam. I am as deeply concerned about our own troops there as anything else, for it occurs to me that what we are submitting them to in Vietnam is not simply the brutalizing process that goes on in any war where enemies face each other and seek to destroy. We are adding cynicism to the process of death, for they must know after a short period there that none of the things we claim to be fighting for are really involved. Before long, they must know that their government has sent them into a struggle among Vietnamese, and the more sophisticated surely realize that we are on the side of the wealthy and the secure while we create a hell for the poor. Somehow this madness must cease. We must stop now. I speak as a child of God and brother to the suffering poor of Vietnam. I speak for those whose land is being laid waste, whose homes are being destroyed, whose culture is being subverted. I speak for the poor of America who are paying the double price of smashed hopes at home and death and corruption in Vietnam. I speak as a citizen of the world, for the world as it stands, aghast at the path we have taken. I speak as one who loves America, to the leaders of our own great nation. The great initiative in this war is ours. The initiative to stop it must be ours. War always costs more than when we think it will. The Vietnam War cost more than Dr. King knew, and he was way ahead of the curve in 1967. He couldn't possibly have known that eventually more Vietnam veterans would have killed themselves than died in combat. He couldn't possibly have known what PTSD would do to the lives of the men who came home scarred forever. He did believe that the cost of war is always too high and that there are better ways to resolve our conflicts as people and as nations. This is my good friend T-Poe, who is a Vietnam combat veteran. T-Poe is a poet, and we met at poetry slams and open mics around the valley, and if you think jumping out of an airplane is scary, try reading poetry in a bar. As a result of our conversations and our friendship, I wrote this song, and it's called "If There Was a Wall." And this afternoon we're combining it with one of T-Poe's poems called "Destiny." This stuff is pretty dark, this song and the poem, but war is dark stuff, and that's why Dr. King opposed it. I promise, though, that just like Dr. King often did in his speeches, that we will finish on an up note. After our second song will be a little more upbeat. So give me a second to put my note away here. Finally lost his war, turned his back and closed the door, built a wall around his core, till he couldn't find it anymore. He tried to medicate, but the memories just stayed. Vietnam never went away, back in the world living every day. Got out his old gun, said my fighting days are done. I had hope, now I have none. I don't want to see another sun. Too many good young men died trying to save that land. So many more than them died at their own hands. If there was a wall with the names of them all, it would be longer than the wall in Washington, D.C. If there was a wall with the names of them all, that would be a wall we all should see. If there was a wall. Some just drank in bars, went out and crashed their cars, went out like shooting stars when the living got too hard. Some scars are on the skin, some are deeper in. There's a battle no one wins with a bottle or a syringe. Some are above ground with the help that they have found. So many just went down, couldn't find a way to stick around. Too many good young men died trying to save that land. So many more than them died out their own hands. If there was a wall with the names of them all, it would be longer than a wall in Washington, D.C. There was a wall with the names of them all, that would be a wall we all should see. If there was a wall. We're doing it again, another war we cannot win, where the enemies look just like the friends, and the battle never ends. see if there was a wall.
He is just a drifting man, alone, but unafraid. Been rubbing life the wrong way on a road the devil made. Never stops to look around, seldom hesitates. Ears that hear a single sound. His destiny awaits. He was once an upright boy. Ambition seemed his middle name. He could turn a tool into a toy, hard work into a game. He'd be awake to greet the sun, stay busy all the time. While friends were out to have some fun, he was out to make a dime. And folks always knew he'd get ahead a step before his peers. He'd make gold from bricks and lead within a couple of years. But when he graduated school, his patriotic chore to keep us free from commie rule, he had to go to war. He left his home, his head held high, a kiss from his girlfriend. He'd fight, and if he had to, die to see the good guys win. Yes, he could kill them by the score in the name of liberty, and he could maim 1,000 more to keep his country free. From homeroom class to battle zone took just half a year. He thinks about his life back home and sheds a single tear. He wonders how it feels to kill, what it's like to die. He wonders if they'll take the hill. He knows that they will try. Morning brings the sound of guns and that smell, the burning flesh, and the warm blood like a river runs down the hill of death. The war is hell, the wise man said, and he was learning fast. Shot a man, killed him dead, the first time and the last. The cold, dead stare in his victim's eyes was mute contrast to the cheers of the young man's comrades who used their knives to on their belts hang the dead man's ears. It was then he realized he was the enemy. Take their land and take their lives and call it liberty. These people pose no threat, he sees. What was he really here for? They want to work their rice paddies, no less and little more. He wants to leave the bloodshed, go back home and live in peace. He wants a pillow on his bed, tell stories to his niece. But there is much to do yet. Many commies still survive, so we'll burn their homes with napalm until none are left alive. Well, America survived this one, but how did he survive? By turning on and tuning out. He's more dead than he's alive. No hero's welcome he'll receive when he gets back to the world. Baby killer, they believe. No flags will be unfurled. He brings a habit home with him. It numbs him to the scorn of the people who are living in the town where he was born. Now he sees no future, feels a needle in his arm. He now wakes up at sunset. Pain is his alarm. It was he who gave his life away, and he can get it back. But all that he will gain today is another needle track, because he is just a drifted man, alone but unafraid, rubbing life the wrong way on a road the devil laid. He never stops to look around, seldom hesitates, ears that hear a single sound. His destiny awaits.
There was a wall promise we're going to finish on up note because our